I'm Gemma, and today we're going to do a very short practice about giving. And the theme today is giving before you receive. So it's a very apt theme at this time of year. It's Christmas time, coming up very quickly. And Christmas is often so much about receiving, and it's so much about commercialism. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about this idea of giving before receiving. And there's actually one of the laws of the universe called the law of giving that Deepak Chopra talks about in his meditations and on his website. And this law of giving says that what you give, you receive. So in order to gain and fill your life with all the things that you want to receive, you need to give it first. So that when they talk about living in service, you give before you get back. So I was actually watching a little video by Patricia Moreno, who is an incredible Intensati teacher in the States, and she's also a coach. And she had a little video just about this exact thing, about giving what you receive. So she says, give that which you want to receive in your own life. If you want to receive abundance, give abundance. If you want to receive joy, give joy. Deepak also says that the universe operates through a dynamic exchange of energy. So he talks about there's no hoarding in the natural world. It's all about giving, receiving, giving, taking, even between the little cells in our body. It's about giving and receiving in a continual cycle. So having this hoarding mentality, or what can I have, what can I bring to myself, doesn't enable this dynamic exchange of energy to continue. So on a cellular level even, it's this giving before receiving. So I would love to think about this in our practice, especially preparing us for Christmas time. That in our practice we can practice this by giving to ourselves and giving to our practice that which we want to receive. So for example, again, using abundance. If abundance is something that we want to bring into our lives in any form, in our practice we can make sure that we're not using or feeling a sense of lack. So maybe it's a lack of time, or a lack of energy, or a lack of motivation and inspiration in our practice. So when we come to the practice now and today, we're going to try and remove all those feelings of lack and just come with a feeling of abundance. We've got as much time as we need. We've got, much more energy than we think we have. We've got everything that we need right there inside us, everything that we need and more. So for example, if we want to bring more joy into our life, we can come to the practice with full of joy. So rather than having negative feelings or being critical of ourselves or anything that's going on around us, we can bring that element of joy and fun and carefree. So that our practice really gives us the place to practice what we want to bring into our lives. So we're going to have just a little short go at this today. So I would like to please start sitting comfortably in a cross-legged position or whatever works for you. We'll get a little bit grounded, so grounding through the sit bones, relaxing the shoulders, making sure both sit bones are firmly pressing down into the mat, the crown of the head lifting up towards the ceiling. We'll close the eyes. Becoming very aware of the breath. And just taking these few moments to get very clear on what it is that you would like to give and then receive. What you would like to give to your practice today and then draw back from the world and the universe around you. So for me, I'm going to choose the example of abundance. That is very ripe for me at the moment. So I'm going to fill my practice today with abundance. So let's blink the eyes open and we'll start to move. So let's start by just rolling the shoulders. Lovely big shoulder rolls. I always loved starting my classes with getting into the shoulders, the neck, because that seems to be where most people keep a lot of their tension. Okay, rolling through the shoulders and then releasing the shoulders down. We'll inhale, reach the arms up, all the way to the ceiling, interlinking the fingers, pressing the palms away from you, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. So take a few big, deep breaths here into the upper chest, broadening through the collarbones. Keep squeezing the elbows together, but keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. So just making some space in the upper chest around the heart. Remembering with each breath that we're giving ourselves what we would then like to receive. Good, releasing the arms down and interlinking the fingers behind you and pressing the heart towards the ceiling. This is another stretch that I do a number of times a day. Opening through the chest, lifting the chest towards the ceiling. Good, and releasing the hands. So take a gentle twist, first of all to the left, taking the right hand onto your left thigh, left fingertips to the base of your spine, right at the base of your spine so your hands touching your back in order to keep your spine lifted, and gazing over your left shoulder. Again, lovely big breaths, filling up, exhaling, twisting around a little further, and coming back to center for the other side. Nice little twist to warm up the spine after maybe a long day or an early start. Good, and coming back to center. We're going to rock forward onto all fours. So taking your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. Making sure there's enough room in between the heel of your hand and your knee. We'll do a couple of cat and cow stretches. Again, one of my favourite ways to start a practice. So in this practice, we're doing all my favourite things. So arching the spine in both directions, feeling the breath flow naturally as you move, not trying to force it in one way or another. And with every little movement, trying to bring in this sense of whatever it is that we're giving to the practice, whatever it is that you're giving to yourself, in order to then take that out into the world. Okay, coming back to a neutral spine, we'll spread the fingers of the hands brightly, pressing in through the tips of the fingers and the knuckles, tucking the toes behind you and lifting the sit bones all the way to the ceiling. So taking the sit bones high, dropping the heels down, lengthening through the spine, downward facing dog. Then we'll step the feet together as we prepare to flow, dropping the left heel, reaching the right foot all the way up to the ceiling, spreading through the toes, hugging the knee into the navel and stepping that foot through between the hands, dropping the back knee down onto the floor and pointing the toes. So coming into a low lunge here, softening through the hips. I love this one for stretching all the way along the front of this leg, especially if you do any other kind of exercise like running, which I am getting into at the moment. And it's really easy to get stiff in the hips when you do lots of walking or running, so this is a lovely one. So from here we're going to sweep the arms up overhead, get a little bit more expressive with the pose, reaching through the fingers, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears, maybe even coming to a little back bend, and releasing all the way back down. We're going to tuck the back toes and step back to a plank pose, holding the body parallel, dropping down onto the knees, the chest down in between the hands, lifting the heart to cobra pose, and exhaling back, downward facing dog. Just shaking the head a little bit from side to side, releasing the neck, making space between the shoulders and the ears. And again, stepping the feet together, inhaling, raising the left leg up, reaching towards the ceiling, spreading through the toes, stepping that foot through between the hands. And same thing here, dropping the knee, pointing the toes, sinking into the hips, feeling that stretch all the way along the right side now. And getting a little bit more creative and expressive, reaching the fingertips high, dropping the shoulders, feeling how just how nice it feels to be moving the body, to be opening and releasing what we're giving to ourselves here, and releasing the hands back down. Again, we'll step back to plank, tucking the toes, holding the body parallel, dropping down to the knees and chest, pointing the toes, inhaling to cobra, and exhaling back, downward facing dog. Stepping the feet together once again, inhaling, raising the right leg high, spreading through the toes, exhaling, stepping that foot through between the hands. This time keeping the back knee lifted, so we're coming to high lunge. Dropping the heel back, taking the shin forward, and once again we'll sweep the arms up overhead, strong legs. Keep drawing that left hip forward and the right hip back. Lifting up through the fingertips, shoulders down away from the ears. Beautiful. And releasing down. Stepping back to plank. Going through the vinyasa. Knees and chest. Inhaling cobra. And exhaling back to down dog. Feet together, inhaling the left leg lifts. Dropping the right heel. Exhaling, stepping forward between the hands. And again, high lunge, pressing the heel back, front shin forward, and sweeping the arms up overhead. Staying steady in the legs, shoulders down away from the ears, reaching through the fingers. Lovely, releasing all the way down. Stepping back to plank, holding for a moment, firm in the abdomen, dropping to the knees and the chest, lifting the heart. And exhaling back to downward dog. Lengthening through the spine. That's lovely. We're going to come forward into plank now. And again, we're going to slowly drop all the way down to the ground. So a little bit firm in the tummy, elbows in, and gently lowering down. Pointing the toes. We're going to come up to cobra. And then reach back, interlink the fingers, hold the fingers, pressing the fingers towards your heels, shoulders down away from the ears. Big breath into the chest. And releasing down, just taking the hands in front of you, forehead on the hands. Taking this moment to come back to your breath. Come back to your intention of what it is that you're giving yourself in this sweet little practice, and how you're going to take that out into the world. Releasing the head, coming back up, taking the sit bones down, onto the heels, coming into child's pose. Taking the fingertips down by the toes, resting the forehead. And releasing from the counter pose, coming back up to sit on the heels. We're going to come back to our seated position. So coming back to your cross-legged or kneeling, whichever is more comfortable for you. Lovely. So we're going to stretch through the side, dropping the left hand down, reaching the right arm up, lengthening through the side, shoulders down away from the ears, feeling how nice it is to make that space through the side of the body. And coming back to the other side, elbow down, shoulders down away from the ears, reaching over, and coming back to center. Lovely. Last little movement that we'll do is the neck. So starting with the shoulders, finishing with the neck, bringing the chin to the chest, rolling a big circle to the left first, very gently as we go back, and then coming back around to the center. Other way, to the right, very gently back. Feeling all little sensations in the neck as you move. And bringing the chin back to the chest. and releasing, coming back to center. So again, we'll close the eyes. Just take a few moments to come back to the center, back to the sit bones rooting down into the earth, back to the crown of the head lifting, back to the breath as it moves in and out of the body. And back to our intention of giving, offering out into the world before we receive back. Take the hands gently to the heart center. And Namaste, which means the light or the divine within me recognizes the light or the divine within you. Namaste.